get started, I have to go through the disclaimer. Basically, this disclaimer is saying that everything we talk about in this webinar is for educational purposes only. Okay, we're not giving any buy, sell, hold recommendations. Past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results. So everything we talk about is going to be for educational purposes only. And yes, you will get a recording of this webinar. All right, so who am I? My name is David Kushner, and I've been trading the markets for over 25 plus years. I trade stocks, I trade options, forex, futures. My background was I had an automotive parts business that I started when I was 18 years old. I had that business for 28 years before I sold it in 2005, and since then I've been a full-time trader. So like most of you probably have a whole shelf or hard drives full of trading systems that came with a lot of empty promises of helping you become more profitable and more consistent. So I know that I have probably 3 or 4 hard drives full of a bunch of stuff that I spent a small fortune on. And when I saw a webinar, just like you are with me, that Mark Sachs did, and I saw the money flow tracker software system, I quickly realized that this methodology isn't based around the same old indicators that everybody else teaches, but more based on mathematical modeling and triple and quadruple screen analysis. I now only trade with institutional money flow, and from now on in the webinar, when I talk about money flow, I'm only talking about institutional money flow, okay? And that's trading with institutional money flow has made me much more profitable and much more consistent trader. And now I'm running over a 70% win-loss rate. Actually, I'm running almost a 76% win-loss rate. All right, so the agenda for the webinar is how the money flow tracker software system works, the high probability setups, the unbreakable rules to follow, how I trade breakouts and sidestep losing trades, the money flow tracker auto trader, and how to pass the evaluation to become a funded trader. All right, so everybody ready to get started? All right, so those who stay till the end of this presentation, usually I keep it about 45 minutes to an hour. We have a very special discount plus some additional software as a quick action bonus. All right, so why are you here? Are you here because you're not getting the results you want yet? Well, you're not here to waste time, right? Neither am I. And you're not here to waste money. And you're sick of buyer's remorse. So what does that mean? Sick of buyer's remorse. Well, you buy a system, methodology, you trade with it for a few weeks or a month or whatever, and you're doing well with it or whatever, and then all of a sudden you have that losing streak, right? So you end up throwing out the system and looking for the next system, right? It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Okay. So what is the solution? What do you want? You want to hit consistent winners. You want a solid performance that repeats daily. And look, the markets are here for us to extract money from them every day. Do we extract money from it every day? No. Okay. I'm a very honest person. Okay. I don't BS people. No, we have days we don't trade. Right. But at the end of the month is what really matters. All right. So you need 4 things to create trading success. So those 4 things are: you need software to provide you with a competitive edge over all other traders. The next thing is you need that edge to track the direction of money flow, institutional money flow. The third thing is etched in stone rules to follow, and this will eliminate discretion. And the fourth thing, which I think and I truly believe is the most important, is patience. Patience to let the trade set up. I know you sit in front of the screen and you watch it and you watch it and you watch it and you get a setup and you're, well, this is not really the greatest setup. Then don't take the trade. Be patient. Wait for the best setups. So I'm going to break down the system in detail for you. And if you have any questions, just put them in the questions box and I'll answer them, or Rory will answer them for me. Let me show you a few trades that I've taken. Okay, this was a trade on a signal on AMC, an options trade for 139%. Here was another one on a buy signal on GME for 188%. Here's another one on 30-year bonds at 41 ticks at 31.25 a tick is $1,281 on this one trade. Here's another one on the euro. You know, I can sit here, I could show you chart after chart after chart, but is that really going to help you? No, that's not going to help you by showing you all the trades that I've had. Okay, those should be the trades that you're going to have, right? So it's likely from the poll that most of you have a problem making money. Why? Because you don't have the proper tools to officially manage your trades. You overtrade, you revenge trade, and you make an impulsive decision. This particular one is the one that most traders get in trouble with, right? You lack consistency. You trade with indicators that lag price. You also lack a mathematically proven trade methodology. And all these things lead to blowing up trading accounts. So my commitment to you for attending this webinar is to bring this to an end, right? So why do 95 to 98% of traders use the following and go broke? Like price action, MACD, Elliott wave, divergence, Gann theory, Fibonacci, price patterns. You know, I've tried trading with every single one of these things and have really very little success with it. You know, the money flow tracker, you know, none of these things actually have any future predictive properties. And I am not. I'm going to repeat that. I'm not saying that the money flow tracker can predict the future. Okay. First of all, nothing can predict the future. Okay. The market is going to do what it wants to do. All right. So, you know, be patient and wait for your best setup. And that would be the best way for you to trade. So let me tell you a little bit. Mark Sachs had over 35 plus years in the study in the field of applied mathematics. He was a professor at Jefferson University, and it took him 8 long years to engineer the software system and trade methodology that can improve your trade performance called the Money Flow Tracker. And we have over 500 traders between our 3 trade rooms that we trade shoulder to shoulder every day. But before we get started, I want to be transparent with you people, and I want to share my trade journal. So I use a trade journal, online trade journal, all right? And every day I do my performance report in NinjaTrader, and I download all my trades into a Excel sheet. This is today's 12/4, right? This was yesterday's 12/3, 12/2, 12/1, right? And then I click here and I import all the data into this program. And what this program does is it tracks all my trades. This is the trade ID from NinjaTrader. This is my entry time, my exit time, the market, all this stuff, right? Well, if I go to the home page, you can see I'm at a 75.82% win rate with a profit factor of 2.69, which means for every dollar I'm risking, I'm making $2.69. All right. Here is my equity curve for 2025. All right. So I use this program because it helps me track my trade performance. All right. Now, if I go here and I put up performance by day, this only goes back 6 months, this particular screen. So look at the last 6 months. Look how many winning days we've had, and look how many losing days we've had, and look how small the losing days are. Okay. I've used this program for a couple of years now, and I like to show the results here. All right. Another thing is, what was else I was going to show you? That's pretty much it. This is our track record. All right. So look at this. This is November. This is last month, right? Look at the days. Usually it says no trade days. I don't know why it's not saying anything now. Anyways, so the days that we haven't traded was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. I was off this week where I had a death in the family and I was gone this whole week. But even though I was gone this whole week, look what we did in November. November, $11,552, right? And I only traded half the month, basically. 20 trading days, only traded 10 days, right? Look at October. We didn't trade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in October. And our report for October was 85.29. So why don't I have no trade days? Because if we don't have setups and we have low volume means no institutional trading. All right. So if we don't have setups, we don't take trades, period. What is the profit? This is for all my accounts, my total trading accounts. Okay. I can't break it down per account. All right. But it really shouldn't matter. It's just, this is what I've done. And this is what a lot of people have done in the trade room. So let's keep going here. The market consists of many small retail traders represented by these marbles, plus one or more institutional trader represented by the big purple ball. Well, if we know that most retail traders lose money, why would you want to trade along with them? I don't want to trade with retail trader. I want to trade when the institutional traders are trading. Those are the people that move the market, not the retail traders. The institutional traders call the retail traders the guppies, right? So let's keep going. The money flow tracker software has 3 key metrics that determine money flow. The first one is triple screen assessment of correlative markets using our AI engine. The second one is triple screen assessment of order flow. And the third one is triple screen assessment of the Laguerre for momentum. So what do I mean by triple screen assessment? Means basically, I like to keep my terminology real simple, okay? 3 time frames in agreement. Triple screen analysis is 3 time frames in agreement, period. All right? So triple screen assessment of order flow, that's the first powerful force that moves price. So I know most people think, oh, order flow. Oh, those are those order flow candles with all these numbers on the inside left, inside right, on the top, on the bottom, on the outside. You know, these candles are, I've tried trading with these candles before. It is totally impossible. For me, it was impossible. You can't make good trading decisions, especially when the markets are moving quickly, and try to determine these candles and what they're saying and this and that. So we came up with our own order flow candles. So our order flow candles are, if you have a colored outline, a green colored outline, means that the delta of that candle is positive. And obviously with a red colored outline means the delta of the candle is negative. So when I'm trading and I'm long the market, I really only want to see green candles, right? And if I'm short the market, I want to see red candles, right? So I have more buyers than sellers in the green candle and more sellers than buyers in the red candle. Keep it easy, keep it simple. The simpler you keep it, the better off you are. So again, triple screen assessment of order flow means we want to see order flow going in the same direction on 3 time frames. So I put a screenshot of our charts up here because I wanted to show you how simple and clean the charts are. All our indicators are represented by these colored lines on the bottom. The background color means we have 3 time frames in agreement, but I just wanted to show you how simple our charts are to read. All right. So triple screen assessment of a momentum is the second most powerful force that moves price. And we use the Laguerre and our hybrid candles, the wicks, to tell us when we have momentum. So again, 3 time frames going in the same direction on the modified Laguerre. And the wicks. So we're the only company that was able to produce the wicks inside of a Renko bar. So we use these wicks to our advantage. But if you have a wick that opens from the previous candle's close, goes up the bar size and closes, the next candle opens from the previous, the next candle opens from the previous, this candle is a pullback candle. And we use these pullback candles to our advantage, and I'll explain it to a little bit later on in the webinar. Okay. So the modified Laguerre, we developed what we call the modified Laguerre for momentum. And we took all these indicators and we added an algorithm to them, and we developed what we call the modified Laguerre. Now, the modified Laguerre is an oscillator, but it doesn't show divergence like other oscillators. It only shows strength of trend. So the modified Laguerre is represented by the bottom colored line. So when this crosses below 20, it'll be red. When it crosses above and sloping up, it will be lime green. When it crosses over 80, it will turn dark green. And when it crosses below and is sloping down, it will turn orange. Ultimately, we want to see this pinned at 100 or pinned at 0. So we get our acceleration dots. All right. Now the quant lines, that's the third powerful force that moves price. So what our quant lines are doing is they're examining 28 market components, and they're examined by our AI system for correlation. Now, most people know what correlation means. The word itself, correlation, is correlated, all right? Means that. But most people don't pay attention to correlation, but we do. Why? Because if you have ES, NQ, RTY all going in the same direction, that is very powerful. And most people don't even realize that. But let's say you have ES going down and NQ, RTY, and YM going up. What do you think is going to happen to ES? It's going to either turn around and start following the rest of the markets, or just probably go sideways, right? So correlation is very important. It's like the old saying, a rising tide floats all boats. Well, it's kind of the same in the market. When all the metals are moving up, they're all going to move together. When the energy sector, oil, natural gas, whatever, is all moving in the same direction, that's powerful, right? So we decided that, you know what? In choppy markets, 3 time frames in agreement is not enough. Really need to have 4 time frames in agreement to prove that we have a good trend. So we developed what we call the C2 indicator. And all that does is add another time frame. So for instance, if you're trading a 2-minute chart, everything is in multiples of 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18, and 18 times 3 would be your C2 setting. Frank, I'm going to get to that, how we understand the volume, right? And the C2 indicator is represented on the chart by this stair-stepping line above the candles. Green going up, red going down. So let's put it all together. It's really simple. Most people catch on to the system within a week or two. And let's look at the rules and the setups. First rule, we need a colored background, either green or dark pink. That's 3 time frames in agreement. Second rule is we want to have the C2. We want to have 4 time frames in agreement. The third rule is we have a solid line and a dot dash line. Going up, we always want the dot dash line below the solid line. And going down, we want it above. The fourth rule, if you're coming into support or resistance via pivot, higher time frame support, the VWAP, whatever it happens to be, you must wait for 3/4 of the candle to clear that obstruction or pivot or whatever, and then you must wait for a pullback candle. And I'll explain to you why we wait for the pullback candle in a little bit. The fifth rule is we have 2 quant lines, a longer term and a shorter term. We need those to be in agreement, either red or green. Now we have the multiple time frame Laguerre. We want that to be in agreement with the quants. And we have the modified Laguerre, and we want everything to be either red or green, okay? And we want the modified Laguerre to be pinned at 0, so we get our acceleration dots. So this particular trade, the setup was right here, and this was the result. 63 ticks, and what we do is we use exit on line change. So when the dot dash line changes color from green to yellow, green to red, red to yellow, red to green, it will automatically exit the trade. So it keeps you in the trade longer. All right. So this is what I tell everybody. And this is the thing that really drew me to the Money Flow Tracker software system that I've been trading with now for 4.5 years. You know, trading with the Money Flow Tracker rules will keep you out of choppy, non-trending markets. And those are the markets where usually leads to losses, where most traders lose money. I can't tell you how many hundreds or thousands of times I've heard this from traders. You know, David, I make money on Monday, I do okay on Tuesday, I lose most of it on Wednesday, I make a little more on Thursday, and Friday at the end of the week, I'm either up, down, or didn't make any money, and I traded all week, right? I've heard that over and over and over again, right? We don't trade every day because if we don't have setups, we don't take trades, period. Period. If there's no setups, we don't take a trade. So, in the days that we don't trade, I truly believe if we would have tried to trade those days, they would have ended up being losing days. All right. You know, the Money Flow Tracker gives you very high probability setups. Do we win on every trade? Absolutely no. Right? I'm not going to tell you that we win every trade. First of all, nobody wins on every trade. If somebody ever tells you that we win 100% of the time, I would suggest you to not turn around and walk away, but run the other way. Because nobody could win every day, and nobody could win on every trade. Okay? But trading with the Money Flow Tracker software will give you a high probability setup. So this was a trade that I took on CL. Now, it came down, it broke these pivots. This pullback candle happened really fast. I couldn't even place the order. Then I got this pullback candle. So this pullback candle pulled back. I placed my order, sell on down close. I got in the trade. First target is 10 ticks. So this is CL. So 10 ticks is $100. Right? Then we went down and we exited on line change for another 55 ticks. So that's $550. So this whole trade was $650. And look at the time it entered, 9:36. Look at the time it exited, 9:37. Where could you make $650, right, in less than 1 minute? Okay? And all we did was follow the rules. So the Money Flow Tracker software will give you clear and exact entries, clear and exact exit signals, and you get all your targets are pre-configured with the ATMs. So now I'm going to teach you how I trade breakouts with the Money Flow Tracker and sidestep losing trades, and I call it the pullback and go strategy. So let me grab my pen here again. So the market's coming down. This is a pivot. The shaded area is higher time frame support. So it breaks, we get the pullback candle. So as the pullback candle is pulling back about halfway, that's when we place our order to sell on down close. So what happens if the market's coming down, coming down, coming down? We get the pullback candle, but what happens if it goes like that and this candle closes up? If this candle closes up, this order automatically gets canceled. And we sidestep the losing trade, losing trade by waiting. So why do we do this? We do this because when markets break support or resistance, they tend to pull back and retest them, right? Also, when markets break support and resistance, they also do stop runs, liquidity grabs, whatever you want to call them, okay? They know that there are a bunch of orders right here for breakout traders. So most of the time they come down, grab those orders, and go the other way, right? But we wait for that pullback handle so that we don't get caught in that kind of stuff, right? Do sometimes we get caught in a liquidity grab? Yeah, once in a while we do. But for the most part, we don't. And we sidestep a lot of losing trades by waiting for that pullback handle. And yes, sometimes we miss a winning trade because we don't get a pullback handle. But I would rather sidestep 8 out of 10 losing trades and miss one winning trade once in a while. All right. So here's another trade. This is on RTY. It broke the pivot, got the pullback handle, placed the order, first profit target, second profit target. Here's another one on crude oil. Here's two of them on the Canadian dollar. You know, I can show you lots of examples, but I want to talk about the money flow tracker auto trading strategy called the Revolution. We call it the Revolution. We call it Revo for short. So we just call it the Revo, right? So what does it do? Well, it took this trade here for 704 ticks. It took this trade here for 665 ticks. It took this trade here for 1,016 ticks, right? So what does it do? Everybody always asks me, what does it do? I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull up the strategy window, and I'm going to load the template, my template on here. It's called Revo. STR means Revo strategy. I'm just going to load this template on here just for that. So who can tell me what the first rule was? The very first rule. Somebody tell me what the first rule was. Colored background. So the bias is the colored background and the C2. So we want to have those, so we turn them on. I have the signal being delayed by 1 bar because this won't wait for a pullback candle. So I want the complete candle to clear the pivot, right? We want the Laguerre red or green, so we turn it on. We want the multiple time frame Laguerre signal B red or green, right? These are the moving averages. We want them the colors to match. The MA diff, we don't trade it above 350, and I'll explain to you what the MA diff is in a minute, right? We want to clear the pivots. We want to clear the volume zones. We want to clear we want the quants, both quants, red or green, just like the rule. Now, the first target value is very important. Our first target is 80 ticks, but it has to go to 81 to get filled. So if you have from this point to this pivot here, right here, I'm showing it, if you only have 60 ticks, it will not take the trade. If you have 81 ticks, it will take the trade, right? But if you don't have enough to get the first profit target, it will wait until the candle clears the pivot, and then it will take the trade. So it will not trade into support and resistance. It will, if you don't have enough room for the first profit target, it will wait until it breaks. All right? It has built-in money. You can have it turn it on and turn it off whenever you want, right? Or you can set the time, whatever. It has built-in money management. So right here, we have lots of traders that use this, that subscribe to us just for the auto trader. So, and this is what they do. They set their session limit for $1,000. They set their session loss limit at 500. And they turn it on and they go to work and whatever they're going to do. And either they come home and they're going to be up, or they're going to be down, or maybe they didn't even get a trade for the day, one or the other. This also has in here, just it has exit on session close. So at 36:30, if you're trading a prop firm, you know you have to be out of the market before the market closes. So that's it. That is the settings. Just basically exact settings that's following the rules. Okay, so this is the equity curve for 2021, and this is the equity curve for 2022. Now I lost all my data, so I do not have 2023, but I do have 2024. So last year, this strategy made roughly about $44,000, just the Revo on the what we call the MNQ swing trade. Just this. Now, this was a trade that I was in, and I hit my first profit target like super fast. So I wanted to record the trade because I felt like this was going to be one of those really nice trades, and I wanted to be able to show everybody. So I recorded it. So I'm going to go fast forward it. You can see we're in the trade. We hit our first profit target. You know, we almost got stopped out there at break even, but we didn't. Right? And then it's moving. So we're up 220 ticks. We're up 289 ticks. We're up 348 ticks. So remember I talked about the MA diff. So the MA diff is how far away from the 50 is price, right? And it's set up here, MA diff is at 321. That's what the MA diff does. Now, when the MA diff gets too high, and we have different settings for different markets and different bar sizes, we expect a pullback within the next 2 or 3 candles, and we normally get that. So when the MA diff is too high, we don't want to take a trade because the move is pretty much over. So let's keep going. We're up 468 ticks, and you can see the MA diff over here is at 400. So I started moving my stop manually. You don't have to move it manually. You can set it up for a trailing stop. You can just lots of different things, but I like to move it manually. All right. So we're up here, 543 ticks. We're up 570 ticks, and we're out at 570 ticks. So look, I traded 4 micros, took 2 off at $80. So 2 micros is $1 a tick. And the other 2 micros we took off at 570 ticks. So that's another $570. So 80 and 570 we made on this trade, $350. Roughly how many minutes was this Revo trade on a 570 tick? We don't trade 570 tick charts, Sandy. We trade on Unirenko charts. Oh, how long was this trade on? The trade went on at 9:47 and closed at about an hour, I would say. About an hour. And this is a very tough this is very hard to watch tick by tick. Because you know, MNQ, NQ, it tends to move around a lot, up and down, and you can see that with the wicks in these candles. It moves up and down, and it could really easily scare you out of the trade, but you have to stay with the program and let it do what it's got to do. Okay? So that trade was a live trade that we took. All right, so let's keep moving here. Okay. And right now, what we're doing is we are actually been trading so far. I'll show you here. The last week of November, this was all on trading the Revo on all the markets. Okay, 1 week, this was our first week trading it. Actually, we traded it most of the month, as I remember. But last week, look, one day we made 1,094. Tuesday, we had a great day. We made 5,400. And Wednesday, we made 504. So just this week, we made 7,000. So I like trading with the auto trader. I like trading with the Revo because, first of all, it doesn't miss a trade. All right. If all the conditions that are set up, all the rules are met, it takes a trade. And there was one trade that we had last week that was on Tuesday that we had a great day where it took a trade on NQ and we made like $1,800 on that one trade. It just kept going and going and going and going, you know? And you get days like that. Do we get days like that every day? No. No, right? So now let's talk about, somebody asked about volume. So how do we know when institutions are trading? I'll show you. See this number here on the bottom right-hand corner? It keeps changing. Well, this is counting how many contracts are going through the market per minute, right? So right now, this is going to change back to 0 because the minute was up. So obviously, we're in nighttime trading, not a lot of volume and this and that. But on RTY, we normally want to see anywhere from 300 contracts plus. Right? On MNQ, we want to see 3,500 contracts per minute. And we know institutions are trading when we see that kind of volume. Okay, if we're seeing MNQ and we're only seeing 1,000 contracts, 1,500 contracts, 1,800 contracts per minute, then we know institutions aren't trading. So that's how we tell when institutions are trading. So Sandy's saying, were you tempted to exit the trade sooner? Yes, yes, and yes. I'm always tempted, but I'm working out my own little demons of choking the trade and not letting it run for the full thing. You know, but that's my little demon, and that's what I'm working on. It's like the little guy on your shoulder. He goes, "Wow, you're up 500 ticks. Take it, take it, take it." And then, no, but I don't have an exit signal. The guy on the left shoulder. Yeah, but the guy on the right shoulder, the devil's telling me, take it, take it, take it. You know what I'm talking about. Well, should I move my stop closer? Should I leave? You know, I do better when I don't watch it. When I just let it do its thing. It was one day, a couple weeks ago, I went out to the store, I left it running, I came back, I was up 600 bucks. You know? So now let's talk about how to pass the evaluation. Okay? You might think it's about your strategy. It has nothing to do with your strategy. I have two friends. My friend Steve is a broker, work at a brokerage firm, and my friend John is a floor trader. So I asked my friend John, I said, hey, how do floor traders really make their money? He says, David, he says, they never worry about their profits. I said, what do you mean? He says, they don't focus on the carrot, which means they don't focus on their profits. They focus on their risk. They worry more about their risk. And he said to me, he said, Dave, if you are more concerned about your risk, your profits will take care of themselves. Right? So focus on trading well. Focus on your setups. Focus on what's going on in the market. If the markets are choppy and low volume, then don't trade. You know, if you trade well and you focus on your setup, the profits will take care of themselves. You know, the challenges or valuations or whatever your particular firm calls them are really designed to make you fail because of parameters they put in place, like how many trading days to pass. Well, honestly, right now, most of them are going to one-day passes. You know, there's so many prop firms out there now, and they're so competing with each other and this and that. And the trailing drawdown. The trailing drawdown is the biggest thing that causes people to fail evaluation accounts. Look, if you think that you sign up with for a 50K account that you're trading 50K, you're not. Okay? Think of it this way. You're trading your drawdown. So if you have a $2,500 drawdown, that's the account you're trading. Okay? So my process is I don't risk any more than 10% of my drawdown on any one trade. So my max risk per trade is $250. That's it. So if I have to trade, if I'm trading NQ, right, I can't because we use a 40 tick stop, and at $5 a tick, that's $200 per contract, $400 total loss. So I trade 6 micros, and that keeps me with my risk parameter. So your win rate versus reward. If you are a 1-to-1 trader, which means you're risking 10 to make 10, you better be 60% profitable. Otherwise, you're not going to make any money. But if you're a 2-to-1 trader, it drops drastically. You could be wrong 60% of the time and still make money. And if you're a 3-to-1 trader, you could be wrong 70% of the time and still make money. So, the reason why I show this is because you don't need to really worry about this, but you should be at least a 2-to-1 trader or a 1.5-to-1 trader. So rather than avoid risk, take intelligent risk, and that will give you a competitive edge. Just like this little mouse. He wants that piece of cheese. He's going to get that piece of cheese, but he's aware of his risk, the mousetrap. So what did he do? He put on his helmet to take intelligent risk. So if the mousetrap runs over and hits him in the head, he's not going to feel it. So let's see. David's asking, can the Revo pass evaluations? The Revo system, I've passed many evaluations, and I have lots of students that have passed many evaluations with the Revo. Okay? You can trade manually or you can trade automated. Yes, you can trade 5 prop accounts all simultaneously. I normally trade 6 accounts. I fluctuate the amount of accounts I trade because it depends on the market conditions. So I don't trade 6 accounts every day. So look, you have 2 choices now. If you're making money and you're doing well trading, then continue on your current path. But for most of you, I would think that from the poll that you're not as consistent as you want to be. Okay? So take action today and join us. You have no boss, you have total financial freedom, you'll be coached by me. And you won't be sorry, put it that way. We have a great deal. I'm getting to it. I know everybody's waiting. Well, I'm getting to it, all right? So the money flow tracker system is the benefits and features. It's easy to learn. We give you all the workspaces. It's perfect for beginners. I wish that I had this when I was a beginner. I would have saved a small fortune on trading crap. And I say crap, it is crap, right? It's perfect for any account size. I have traders that trade a couple micros per trade. I have one guy that trades anywhere from 100 to 150 contracts per trade. I have another guy that trades 15 to 20 contracts per trade. It doesn't matter what your account size, it's what you're comfortable with. I know personally, if I was putting on 150 contracts and I was down 5 ticks, I'd probably have a coronary freaking drop. Sorry, I would probably have a coronary drop dead. That's not my thing. I'm not, maybe one day I will, but you know what? I'm happy with the way I'm doing it. And, I could always make more money by adding accounts. All right. You have to be comfortable with your trade size. If you're trading too big, you're not going to be comfortable. Right? Exactly. The Flatline. Remember that movie Flatline? And you can trade Forex, you can trade futures, you can trade stocks, you can trade signals off stocks and trade options and cryptos. Anyway, so for the first 10 traders to come aboard, we have some powerful addition software and more. So the first bonus that we'll get for quick action bonus is the market scanner. So this is my market scanner, because I use Ranko. That screenshot is on minute charts. So for instance, on gold, we trade a 4-1-20. It's showing that It just went away. But let's look at the gold chart. It's probably got a background. Right. It had a pink background, then it went away. So it went away. So just because it gives you a buy or a sell doesn't mean you have a setup. It means that you have a potential setup. So go look at the chart. You'll get this as part of your package. It's $9.99 value. You'll get what we call the NDT. Now, the NDT is what we use to place our trade. It's a strategy. This is where we put our ATM order. This is where we set up our account. This is where we buy and up close and sell on down close. This is a $14.99 value. You'll get that as part of your package. You'll get the Masterclass series on Forex, futures, stocks, and options. I've watched these. They're very, very good. You'll get 1 month in my trade room. Now, our trade rooms were part of a study by this Dr. Victor Allen. And in his study, he reviewed more than 225 trading websites and evaluated them using several factors, including transparency, proven track record, and assisting traders with educational materials and online support. And we came out on top. And this was published in Traders World and Stock and Commodities magazine. So this is what we're doing. We're doing our Black Friday special tonight. We're staying with our Black Friday special, which means if you want to sign up for a quarterly subscription, it'll be $5.97. If you want to do an annual subscription, normally it's $23.94. This is more than 50% off. It's at $9.97. We haven't done $9.97 in probably 2 years, right? And if you want to do a lifetime, you can do $19.96. Regular price is $39.92. That's 50% off. This is a great deal on the annual and the lifetime. I'm not a big fan of the quarterly, and here's why. Because people buy a system, they don't commit to it. So my suggestion is that when you subscribe with the mindset saying that I'm going to commit to this methodology, I'm going to trade this methodology, I'm going to learn it, and I'm not going to switch, and I'm not going to look at anything else, period. And if I have a few losing trades or a little losing streak, I'm still going to stick with it because I proved to you that it works. Let me show you one other quick thing. This year, we're up $87,000. Last year, we had a better year. The markets were better last year for trading. We did $121,000 last year. $121,000. Look at our equity curve from last year, right? The markets were better last year. This year, the markets were not as good. Next year, the markets might be great. You know, I have a feeling the markets are going to be great next year, easier to trade. So here's my commitment to you is when you subscribe to the Money Flow Tracker software, to help you become a successful trader. Remember, if you're not successful, it's not your fault. Again, if you're not successful, it's not your fault. You're just not using the right tools to be successful. You know, it's like trying to pound a nail into a piece of wood with a screwdriver, right? Yeah, if you sit there long enough and you hit it long enough, yeah, you'll get it in there. But if you use the right tools, a hammer, couple of blows with the hammer, and it's done, right? And that's what I mean by using the right tools. You know, a fireman doesn't go into a fire not wearing the protective gear that he should be wearing. And a policeman doesn't go into a firefight with a pencil in his hand, okay? So you have to use the right tools, especially in trading. You know, the Money Flow Tracker software is totally unique, and it gives you that edge to trade with institutional order flow, okay? The institutional order flow is what we do. We trade with institutional order flow, right? My friend Steve works as a brokerage firm. And he says to me, he said, Dave, you know, we love when a retail trader opens up an account with us. He said, because we know that account's going to be gone probably within a few weeks or a month, maybe 2 months. He said, we call them the guppies. The market makers call them the guppies. They're the ones that feed off of those guys, the retail traders. You know, um, you know, my commitment to you is to teach you not how to just read the setups. Okay, the setups are the easiest part. Do you want to be a guppy or do you want to be a market maker? People ask me, David, what do you do for a living? I said, I trade. I'm an institutional trader. They go like, wow, an institutional trader? How do you do that? How do you get into that? I said, I trade with institutional order flow. So I consider myself an institutional trader. All right. You know, you have to have a mental mindset. The setups are the easy part. The mental mindset is the hardest part in trading. You know, what kind of physical skill do you have to have for trading? Anybody? Anybody know what physical skill you have to have for trading? You have to have a strong index finger to push the button. That's pretty much it. Everything else in trading is mental, and you must have discipline and a good trading mindset, which means if you take a trade and it's a losing trade, you can't freak out, throw your mouse across the room, break your keyboard, all that stuff. You can't freak out. You just got to let it slide. It's part of trading. That's why they call it trading. You know, keep your trading winners. I hate this saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Institutional traders, market makers, keep their losses small. Okay. If they're in a losing trade, they're out. You know the saying, cut your losers quick, let your trade winners run. You know, let's keep going here. So we know that it's a fact that 95 to 98% of day traders and swing traders are losing money. This guy here, retail trader, look how he's stressed, right? Retail trader, he might as well just flush his money down the toilet, okay? Because this is a typical retail trader. Most of them, 98% of them don't make money, but not our traders. Why? Because when this guy is losing money, the market makers, the institutional traders are taking it. So do you want to trade with this guy or do you want to trade with this guy? Right? Trade with institutional order flow. Again, this is the special that we're doing. This is our Black Friday special. We're running it again. $9.97 for a year. That's less than $100 a month, and you can get started with the money flow tracker system. But you have to. I suggest strongly make yourself a promise, just like this. Hey, my name's Ed. I'm going to buy this system. I'm going to trade this methodology. I'm going to stick with it for the whole year. Even after a few losing trades or a few losing days, I'm still going to stick with it because the old people end up throwing out the system because they have a few losing days. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? You have a couple losing days. How do you know the next 3, 4, 5, 10 days aren't going to be great winning days? No. What people do is they say, oh, this sucks. I'm not going to trade this. This thing doesn't work. Blah, 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 blah. Look, I'm telling you from the heart. I've been in your shoes. I've been a struggling trader. I know how it feels. I know what people do. I've done it. Everybody does it. Okay? But you must stick with the methodology. And the money flow tracker system is a great methodology because it keeps you out of choppy, non-trending markets. Okay? And that's when most traders lose money in choppy markets. So don't trade choppy markets. So if you go to webinar, on the very bottom, there's a chat window. Open up the chat window. There's a link in there. Click on the link. It opens up this page. Scroll down to the bottom. If you want to sign up for annual, just click sign up. And you have to put the coupon code in, I believe was wait a minute, what's happening? Oh, save 50% and apply it. Okay. So look, 1994, discount 997, total 997, and next year when you renew in 2026, it's going to be the same price as you did this year, 997. So if you're ready to subscribe, pick whatever you're going to do, monthly, yearly, lifetime. Put in the code SAVE50 and the percent sign, and we'll get you started. Now, if you want to take advantage of our Black Friday 1-year room access, you can click on here. The room is normally, I believe, $147 a month. We're doing a subscription for the year, include with your package, for $500 for the whole year. That comes out to like $40 a month for the room. So you're saving a lot on that. So if you want, go click on the link, go here and subscribe. You will not be sorry, believe me. I wasn't sorry when I subscribed 4 years ago. Bill, this runs on NinjaTrader. All right. Now, if you want to ask us questions before you subscribe, if you have more questions or whatever you want, just put your name and your phone number in the questions box. And Rory said that anybody that puts their name and their phone number in the questions box will be guaranteed to get all the extra bonuses. Look, just the Revolution's Algo Auto Trader is worth the $997 for the year. I showed you that guy made, $44,000 last year just on that strategy is what I made. So it's a great deal. And if you have questions, put your name and your phone number, and Rory says that he will give you all the bonuses, even if we go over 10 people. Okay? So this is a reel of a bunch of our customers, tons of them here that gave us testimonials. But I want to highlight this woman. Now, she has a friend that's in my trade room, and she asked him to teach her how to trade. And he said, look, why don't you contact Market Rightline and he'll help you? Because he didn't really want to be responsible if she lost money. And I understand, I am kind of that way also. So she said, yeah, Rightline provided me with all the charts and the software that I wanted, and Mark taught me everything. So Mark sat in front of a computer, and he taught her the setups, and he told her, when you have a green background, I want you to click on buy and up close. And when you have a dark pink background, I want you to click on sell and down close. So that's what she did. So to make a long story short, she did that for 4 months. She's been training with the Money Flow Tracker software about 1.5 years now, and she's a 6-figure trader now. And here's somebody that didn't even know what a chart was, didn't even know what a tick was, didn't know anything about trading, just a total newbie. I wish I would have had this when I first started, right? Here's a guy, Barry. He says, I've been trading for over 25 plus years. I can honestly say the Money Flow Tracker system is one of the smartest tools I added to my toolbox. A layout of a single chart gives me everything I need at one glance. And that's true, because that's one of the things that attracted me to it. I know right here, I have a green background. I know I have 3 time frames in agreement, right? If I have, let me find a setup here. Let me find a quick setup here. All right, right there. Okay. I know that if I have this right here, I know that I have 3 time frames in agreement. I have the C2. I have my 4 time frames in agreement. I'm above the VWAP. I can go long. Both quants are green. The multiple time frame Laguerre is green. My modified Laguerre is green. Pinned at 0. Got the acceleration dots. Take the market long. That's it. If you have it, you take it. And that's it. I don't have to look at 3 or 4 different charts to be able to determine what the market's doing. This is a gentleman named David, and he was in my room webinar just like you are. And he sends me this message in the questions box, and he says, I suck at trading. I'm the world's worst trader. I'm thinking about quitting, but I like what I see. And if I buy the software, will you help me? So I said, absolutely. So I did. So he writes here, I started writing, and about 3 months after that, he wrote this email into Mark over at Rightline. And he said that, I started watching David's trading room every morning, learned the methodology, and more important, the rules for trading. We only take specific setups, and we follow the rules. We have around a 70% win rate. I now have 7 accounts at Apex and 7 accounts at Buell Knox. And at this particular time, he had only been trading with the Money Flow Tracker software for 2 months. Well, now he has 20 accounts at Apex, 10 accounts at Buell Knox, and a bunch of accounts in all different other prop firms, right? And he goes on and saying the Money Flow Tracker software, along with David's methodology and rules for trading, allows me to act like a robot and eliminate any guesswork or emotions from my trading. We use the NDT, which allows a single push button to enter a trade when he sees the correct setup. Following the rules, every day he looks at it as simple. If he sees a setup, he pushes the button, see the setup, push the button, see the setup, push the button. If he doesn't see the setup, doesn't push the button. 3 weeks ago, he sent me this message in the room in the questions box. Plus $4,265, trading 4 accounts only, I could ring the bell. This was at 10:36, so he traded for 1 hour and 6 minutes and made $4,265 trading with the Money Flow Tracker. So again, this is what we're doing as far as our sale. I would suggest, if you are interested, don't let this opportunity pass you by, because it will not be this price again. It will not be this price again. All right. So if you want to do the quarterly, that's fine. If you want to do the yearly, that's better. If you want to do the lifetime, that's fine also. It all depends on what you want. I know personally, I don't like to pay subscriptions, so I do lifetimes or I buy whatever I'm going to do. But if you do the yearly, say, I'm going to give this X amount of time and I'm going to learn it and I'm going to follow it and I will help you. If you need help, ask for help. I don't know if you need help unless you ask. Right? And again, hold on a second. Rory's just sending me a message here. He goes, hold on a second. Rory says, I want you to welcome Marion, Danny, Ken, Damien, Lori. Just welcome them to the Money Flow Tracker. Well, I'm going to welcome all of you guys to the Money Flow Tracker. I look forward to working with you in the trade room and get you up to speed as quick as possible. All right. So again, if you do want to talk to Rory or you do want to ask some more questions or whatever, just put your name and phone number in the questions box. Rory will give you a call right after the webinar, and you can ask him as many questions as you want. Okay? And that's it. That's all I got. I kept it to just about an hour because I wanted to respect your time. So do we have any more questions? Jonathan, Rory will give you a call in a few minutes. He already has your number. Anybody have any questions? All right. Well, lifetime, yeah, they gave it a review. You texted Rory. Okay. Hold on a second. Okay. Second. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I got, everybody. So I look forward to working with everybody that signed up and in the room. And I want to thank you for attending this webinar and listening to me talk about the Money Flow Tracker software and about trading. Yes, we have the room session tomorrow, every day from 9 to 11, basically. And that's it. So take care, and everybody have a great holiday coming up fast. It's coming up really fast. I swear, it doesn't seem very long that it was last year during the holidays. So take care, and God bless everybody, and good night. Bye-bye.